things differently by giving you an opportunity to see plants that literally had not existed in the wild. I have a tree. This is a lavender chiffon rose tree, and it was done by handcrafting, first and foremost, these gorgeous lavender colored flowers to something that you'll have in your yard for decades and decades to come. These are absolutely perfect for large containers. They're also a great way of adding color to a deck or a patio. I think it's a really cool way of taking those perennial borders that you already have in existence, gardens that have been in your yard for years, and being able to add a corner piece that draws attention to it. This is what you can anticipate in your garden in a matter of just a few years. This will grow and top out from about 8 to 10 feet in height, so it doesn't get crazy, and it is already thriving in the manner in which it's shipped to you. And I know I've got Katie still with me on Skype. I want to draw your eye in right here. This little fella wants to bloom. And think about it. How many purple flowering trees have you ever seen? Katie, I think this is one of the coolest things that you and your team have ever put together.
Oh, I love these lavender, these Rose of Sharon trees, because like you said, Rose of Sharon is a shrub, and what we have done is we have trained it into a tree. But if you know the Rose of Sharon, people call it the daylily of shrubs. So if you were just listening to us talk about daylilies, the Rose of Sharon could not be easier to grow. It is going to bloom, like Dan said, out of the box. I mean, it's such an easy plant, and the reward in those double-petaled lavender pastel flowers is just so stunning.
And these are not overly fragrant, are they?
No, they're not overly fragrant, but what I love about having a tree, and you said it, adding it to a corner, you're adding height to your garden. Yep. So you want to grow up. You know, there's a lot of different ways to do your garden. You want to add texture and color, but you definitely want to add height. And this plant, this tree, grows to be 12 feet tall if you want it. The great thing about these is that you get to control it. Do you want to prune it in this kind of, lollipop shape? Do you want to prune it in more of a traditional tree shape? You get to be in charge.
And Katie, this defines in many, many ways just how much passion the team at Cottage Farms has. Because what I've got in front of me is what ships to people at home, and they're seeing it on the screen. How old is this plant that they're receiving at a price tag of just $16.82 for the first payment, total of $84.12?
Right. We have been growing that tree for 3 years at the farm. Yep. And so the tree, as you said, that's behind the other tree next to you, that's going to be another couple of years, but look at it. It's ready to bloom. The Rose of Sharon shrub is different than other of our flowering shrubs, where the flowers go up and down the stem. And so I love roses, I love hydrangeas, but they all bloom on the outside of the shrub. Yep. This thing, not only does it have the double petals, so it will be loaded with flowers, but the flowers go up and down the stem. So this is just a flower blooming machine for your garden.
And again, when you get it at home, it's going to be about 3 feet in height, but it's the first 2.5 to 3 years of slow growth that determines how hardy and incredible this will be for the next 20 years. So you're getting a massively healthy little tree. And so many times when you go to garden centers, trees can be iffy. Plus, how many trees do you know that flower like this? It is equally as hardy as the daylily, like you had mentioned, and I think at $84.12, this is one of the best investments in making your garden, your yard, different. Even if you have no other flowers, no other gardens, by planting one flowering tree, it becomes the focal point for that curb appeal as people drive by. And if you put it in a big pot like what we've done here, then you're in a situation where maybe it's now going to add a little bit of gorgeous shade to a deck or to a patio. And we can anticipate in most areas of the country a blooming season from about what month to what month?
So this is going to be your late spring, really your summer bloomer. So, and then it blooms all the way till first frost. Because think about it. I mean, what other blooming trees do you have in the middle of summer? So this is going to be that tree, as you said, an investment in your landscape. Pop that in the front yard to add that curb appeal, or put it out back to give you a little bit of shade, a place where you sit and enjoy. But it will be there with you for years and years to come.
So many times in gardening, if you want true beauty, it takes extreme effort. Similar to hair and makeup for me. With this, you don't worry about it. You plant it in the ground, you water it a little bit. Your fertilizer is amazing. I'll get to that. I will also say what we have is all that we can get. There are fewer than 1,500 of these that we were able to secure. And keep in mind, we're talking about plants. This is 2, almost 3 years in age at the time that we ship it to you. And that's 2.5 to 3 years of love that the Cottage Farm team put into each one of these to make sure that they're sturdy, that they're going to perform and do well. This one, you can see that one bud. This is already trying to burst forth with color, and it will continue to do that as a focal point in your yard or your garden for years to come. Their fertilizer is absolutely tremendous. So often when we have flowering plants that are this bright, is it an acid that they crave, or is it the potash that they're looking for? I think
Yes, so it is. Yes, so these are not a high acid loving plant, which is why we picked this fertilizer that is more of a balanced fertilizer, this all-purpose bud and flower booster. So we do have a high acid fertilizer for plants like hydrangeas or blueberries, but this one is just a general nice, like you said, potash. Take that yellow little pot of our fertilizer and you water it in 1 per 1 gallon.